Hi there everyone, it's Billy Kirkwood here for ICW. As part of the preparations as we are heading towards Bard 3 live this Sunday on Triller Plus, we wanted to catch up with some of the movers and shakers, some of the big names that are going to be a part of this huge event. And one of the names that came across my desk to my surprise when I was requested for a sit-down interview was the Clyde River Killer, the prophet of change, the manifesto leader, ADM. Now, I was surprised, but then I think that's exactly what you wanted. So we're going to do this in good faith. I'm not going to pull any punches. I know completely what you're capable of physically, and
let me just interrupt you there, Billy. You need not worry about those things that I'm capable of in here. I wouldn't have signed that away for anyone but you, Billy. It's important to me that the voice of ICW brings out the voice of Alexander Darwin McAllen for the first time.
Well, that is appreciated. But I'm not going to pull any punches here.
I wouldn't expect you to.
Okay. My first question is this, and it's not in the sheet. Why do you want the ICW World Heavyweight Championship? Why do you want it?
It's a good question, Billy. And I'm not going to tell you how to do your job and interrupt and guide and move too much like I perhaps have to do with others, but it's a great question. I'm going to answer it, and I have your follow-up question, is why now? But let me circle back and answer your question.
Okay.
Why do I want to be ICW World Heavyweight Champion? I think that a lot of my movings and teachings can become lost. That, like, I love professional wrestling, Billy, and I love ICW.
Okay.
People don't, I keep to myself except for those that are in my circle, but I was a fan, Billy. I sat in the Apollo and I saw Jester's head smash off the bar, and I went back to my seat and I watched and I thought, I think I could do that. And then I clawed and I climbed and I sweat and I bled, and lo and behold, I made it finally to ICW. So to answer your question, Billy, I want to be ICW World Heavyweight Champion because firstly, I love this place. And secondly, I realised it's the last thing I need to complete my manifesto.
It has been a journey for you over the last few years. Like you say, you came in here to ICW during an era where the doors were closed, but the world was watching. The world was watching. There was an audience ready, waiting for you, and you changed, you evolved, shall we say. The Clyde River Killer's still there. He's still in there. He's the physical embodiment of what we see. I mean, let's not make no bones about it, but the cerebral kind of exorcism that you've performed on the fans and other members of the roster, this group you built, the manifesto, why?
Another good question, Billy. And it circles back to when you asked me why I wanted to be World Heavyweight Champion. Why now? Because Jack Jester is World Heavyweight Champion. And Jack Jester is the domino that fell first, that set me on the path to collecting and starting the manifesto. See, when I did eventually make it here, which was long before COVID, might I add, long before the doors were shut, I was in the garage. And if it wasn't for a pandemic, and let's be honest, other people's bad decisions, I would have been here and higher a lot longer. I know my talent, Billy, even if Jack Jester and everyone else doesn't, because when I walked back there, I saw the Kinky Party in the corner, I saw Polo Promotions, I saw Filthy Generation, and then I saw everyone else. And I was in the everyone else. And cockroaches, and big kinks, and coaches wouldn't shake your hand or look you in the eye. And I saw everyone else. I saw everyone else in the same boat as me, all those poor introverts. Lucky for them, I'm not an introvert. I just had to get my feet under the table, Billy. And that is why I had to start the manifesto. When I watched the injustices that everyone who wasn't friends with the right people faced, when I saw the people having to crawl up the same rubbled road that I had to, while other people take the stair lift, the right people take the stair lift, that's why I started the manifesto, Billy.
You said it had to be Jester. It had to be ADM. I'm hearing little roots of that, of what you're saying, but why did it have to be? Why has it got to the point where your blood is boiling? I can see it.
Yeah, fair question. He's the antithesis. He is the biggest liar back there. Do you remember when he tried to kill ICW, Billy? Do you remember the Black Label? Do you remember who was standing beside him? It was Drew Galloway, Billy. I remember him trying to kill this thing I love. And I watched him pull the velvet rope and let everyone he liked past. God, even recently I sat here, watched the velvet rope, watched Rory Coyle walk in and get an ICW Heavyweight title match. I saw Clint Margera walk in, get an ICW Heavyweight title match. I could have named you 10 people before even me who should have had that opportunity. And I've watched it from the day he tried to kill ICW. I watched it from the day he wouldn't shake my hand. And I knew I was the only one left with any power that could stand up to him, because God knows the office up there are the power behind him. And that's why Jack Jester, Billy. I have to vanquish Jack Jester. I have to do it in the garage, and I have to do it for the ICW World Heavyweight Championship.
Let's circle back for just a second. You mentioned the manifesto. The numbers on the support of that have grown and they have shrunk within the fan base and what have you. But I want to talk about the members of the manifesto. One thing specifically I want to talk about is the acts of cruelty that I've witnessed with my own eyes. Now we can sit here and we can pretend it's tough love and all that type of thing. We're two guys talking. We know what it's like growing up in Scotland. We know what life can be. But outright acts of cruelty, is it a rite of passage? Do you think you're making these people tougher? Is it to make them more cult members that will follow you willingly into the fire no matter what? What is it? Because you come out here and you preach to these fans of peace, and even saying that Jack Jester, you need to vanquish Jack Jester like he's some type of monster, some type of vampire. But yet you do these things. Why? What is the manifesto? And why have you done this?
Yeah.
They'll ask.
Yeah. Billy, you warned me we were going to pull any punches. You find very quickly, and I learned that when you're smoothing the path for these lonely individuals, and it's hard to be them, Billy. One of the main reasons I asked you here is because no one will know lonely more than you. You're a professional comedian, Billy. You know that when you stand up there and the spotlight's on you, everyone being entertained is just on your shoulders. I can't imagine. That must be, in fact, I know how tough that is. I've stood there and I've lived it. So when you take that lack of resilience and you smooth a path for people, and I learned very quickly with Dylan Thorne, pressure makes diamonds. And when I made it too easy, Dylan failed. I can't let that happen to Moxie, and I can't let that happen to Eddie. I know what it must look like but it's better that it's me than someone else.
I know what fear looks like. I know what fear looks like on the... I'm an old guy here in ICW, right? I've seen the guys come and go, but I know what fear looks like, and that's what's in the eyes. Let's talk about that then. What's the power of that? What does that do for them to make them better? Fear.
I think you're putting a label on something too easily. I wouldn't say it was fear, I'd say it's heightened motivation, because the thing that it's ICW, Billy. If I don't harden them to what can happen to them, people like Jack Jester are going to eat them alive. And he will, and he has.
I've heard you talk about the good you've done for those that you've faced, the sacrifices you've made for those you've faced, the changing landscape of ICW. Just thinking of the names, the people that aren't here now, the people that have gone on to greater heights. I mean, you've taken credit for real.
Because I have, Billy. I have taken... Rising tide raises all ships. I've taken the bar of ICW and I've brought violence and, yeah, okay, to those outside the manifesto, fear, and everyone's upped their game. And not everyone survived the flood. There's no purge anymore, but Stevie James is one of the top singles performers in this company. There's no Glasgow Grindhouse anymore, but Krieger is seen as one of the top heavyweights in this country. There's no She-Wolves anymore, but Rio is the longest reigning champion this company has ever seen. My fingerprints touch all of that, Billy. And I'm not one to look for credit, but God damn it, if anyone was ever going to get any, it should be me. But the realization there is, I've done all of this. And I don't just take credit for it, Billy. I did it. I was here, I'd done it. I never even lifted a finger for half of it. I sat there and sacrificed my career to push everyone to the levels they're at. And it's not been enough. I've seen it's not been enough.
So to follow this narrative then, with these sacrifices that you've made, what changed? Why did you suddenly decide it's time for ICW to be in the ADM business? What flicked that switch that you went, me and now? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and fault anyone for putting themselves first, banking on themselves. I mean, I'd be a hypocrite if I did that. So why did you decide here and now? Because you've talked about your motivations. A lot of people don't know these things. You've kept these to yourself. Flick the switch. What flicked the switch?
You're a father, Billy. When you see your children and you provide everything for them and you watch them fail, you don't want to just leave them as failures. But I'm hitting a brick wall now, Billy. Everything I've done, they've just not risen up to it. And I see the power dynamic, because I just spoke about all those things I've done to change this landscape, not a peep of credit. Yet I see Jack Jester on every poster, billowed as Mr. ICW, still to this day, despite that dark past. And it became abundantly clear to me that that ICW World Heavyweight Championship, that's the throne, Billy. I've been the kingmaker here for so long, for Dylan Thorne. I have to be the king now. I can't change it from the outside anymore. I have to be the man around here.
In terms of Moxie, in terms of Eddie, where are they in this world for you? Where are they?
It's going to sound callous, but behind me. I had them on my shoulders for so long, Billy. they're doing what they're told.
I'm gonna crack on. I'm gonna crack on. Let's talk about some of the realities, shall we? You recently suffered your first pinfall in 3 years at the hands of Ben Rogers. I'm a numbers guy, I'm a momentum guy. How do you feel that affected your momentum going into bar 3?
Well, many would think poorly, but I think the opposite when you see what happened at the end of the night. And I would question whether Ben Rogers did defeat me given the circumstances that happened, because I think most of this country would be happy if the circumstances were, say, another Scottish wrestling icon who had their shoulders counted by another wrestler. If you wink, wink, get what I'm alluding to.
Well, let's not muck about. Let's not muck about. The CM Punk thing. Taken at a face value, someone could think it's just a playful swipe at Jester's best mate, Drew McIntyre, and what happened at Clash of the Castle, but we both know that's not just what it is. Why?
Observant, Billy. Nothing I do is surface level. If we circle back to what we were talking about earlier on, this is ICW, Billy. Jack Jester and Drew Galloway tried to kill this place. So why am I not going to take a little inspiration from someone who's going to mess with Drew McIntyre? And yeah, he's Jack Jester's best friend. That's a bonus. And you know, you said it first, let's strip everything away, let's be perfectly honest, Billy. I'm a master of the mental side of this game. A master. I don't think there is anyone who has stepped in this ring, in this company, who can go toe to toe with me. It's psychology. I see a hole in Jack Jester, a wound that isn't from weapons and barbed wire, and I attack it. And that is why I'm going to be ICW World Heavyweight Champion on Sunday.
For your time here in ICW, it's undeniable you've had a stranglehold on elements of the fan psyche and physically what you can do in this ring. We had to wait for it, but when it happened, it was explosive. Finding yourself in this number one contender position is by no means an accident. Jack Jester has made it very clear that he sees you as an unbelievable obstacle, dynamite, a ticking time bomb that could blow a crater in the landscape of ICW, and he needs to put you down. But I want to know what we can expect from you, because you make it look easy when you're hurting people. You make it look like your heart rate isn't even, and that scares the crap out of me at ringside. Because I've seen the biggest and I've seen the baddest. You're getting in there with the king of insanity. You've talked about the throne, you get in there with the king of insanity. So what can we expect? We're going to be in here. We're going to be in this very cage.
The king of insanity is a prop, Billy. It's a prop. Do you think that if you call yourself the king of insanity and you have those king of insanity matches and you line up barbed wire and glass and what else and what have you, and tables and chairs, that they're going to line up for a shot at the ICW Heavyweight Championship? Absolutely not. If you strip that away from the king of insanity, if you take his weapons, you take what props him up in this company, I'm going to repeat that, props him up, and you strip it down and you put a cage around it, and he just has to face me. And you were absolutely right, Billy, the Clyde River Killer. will never leave me. The Prophet is a mantle I've had to hold. The Clyde River Killer is a storm I have to hold inside me at any point. And I could do with my bare hands what Jack Jester has to rely on props for. That is what you can expect from me at Bard. And do you know what? In the interest of honesty, I love it, Billy. See, a question that wasn't asked is, I love wrestling. Why did I do it? It's the only place I can do what I do and get away with it.
I'm done. I've done everything. Right? Okay? I didn't want to do this.
Thank you, Billy.
I did this because of them, alright? I did this because Scott asked me. This is the bit when I'm going to wish you good luck, but I'll be fucking steamrolling you.
Thank you, Billy. Pleasure as always. Pleasure as always.